It was a thick, eerie fog that hung low over the mountains that morning, like something out of a ghost story. The kind of fog that made you second-guess your instincts, questioning every shadow, every rustle of leaves. I stood there, Sergeant Tom Brady, in the early hours, staring down at the gravel parking lot where a single-car sat an old Subaru Outback. The fog was so dense, I could barely make out the trail markers 20 feet away. My breath came out in Cybele clouds as I stepped out of the SUV, the sharp October chill biting into my skin. There was something about this case that didn't sit right, a feeling I couldn't shake, a sense that we were already behind the curve. I knew this mountain range like the back of my hand. After 23 years of searching these trails, I could tell when something was wrong. It wasn't just the fog, though. It was the Subaru keys locked inside. Nothing unusual about that. Except this wasn't just another missing hiker. No, this was different. This wasn't someone who'd just wandered off the trail. This was a person who had been here, but something was missing, something important. And as I looked at the neatly lined-up hiking boots on the dashboard, something gnawed at me. This didn't make sense. The call had come in on Monday. Leah Moore, a 32-year-old freelance photographer and hiker, had gone missing. Her sister hadn't heard from her for days. That was unusual. Leah never missed their weekly coffee date. The worst part? Leah had gone on her usual weekend hike, planned to return Sunday evening, but no texts, no calls. And her phone went straight to voicemail. She wasn't the type to just disappear. Not Leah. Her sister's voice had been filled with worry, tight, strained as if she knew something was wrong. She plans everything down to the minute, her sister had said. She carries extra batteries, backup gear, food for days, and texts me from every summit. But not this time. This time, something was wrong. I looked at the map posted at the trailhead and scanned the Cold Pine Loop. It was an 11-mile hike, nothing too difficult, but challenging enough for someone like Leah. She had planned to photograph the fall colors at Eagles Peak. But with the rain and fog from the last few days, it could be deadly, especially for someone out alone. By the time the search and rescue team arrived, we'd already reviewed Leah's car. No signs of a struggle, no signs of foul play. But there were questions, and the answers weren't coming easily. The weather was working against us, and every hour that passed made it less likely we'd find her alive. Among the volunteers that arrived was Deputy Carly Reese, a young handler, and her golden retriever, Kip. She'd transferred from K-9 Patrol to Search and Rescue, a move that raised eyebrows. Most officers preferred the more predictable duties of drug detection, not the uncertainty of wilderness searches. But Carly and Kip had a reputation to successful finds in the past few months alone. That made me trust them. But there was something else about Kip, something about the way he carried himself. He was focused, like he knew he had a purpose. We set out from the trailhead, following the map, but Kip had other ideas. Instead of following the main trail, he veered left, following an unseen path through the trees. It wasn't the trail, not by any means. This was something else, a game path, narrow, winding, and surrounded by dense undergrowth. No one else was following this path. Kip was on a mission, and I knew right then that everything we thought we knew about Leah's disappearance was wrong. As we moved deeper into the forest, the terrain became tougher. Fallen logs, thorny bushes, and uneven ground made every step a struggle. But Kip was relentless, pulling Carly through the underbrush like he knew exactly where he was going. There was no time for hesitation. We followed him, pushing through the thick woods, unsure of what we might find. And then, just when I thought we couldn't go any further, Kip froze. His tail was rigid, his nose to the ground, every muscle tense. We had reached the edge of a steep ravine, and at first, I saw nothing. But then I caught a glint of metal, a flash of something that didn't belong. I descended first, using my rappelling gear, and when I reached the bottom, what I found made my stomach drop. A stainless steel water bottle, dented and scratched with the initials LM etched into the side. Leah's. Nearby, a torn backpack, its contents scattered across the rocky slope. The damage to the pack wasn't consistent with a fall, though. This wasn't an accident. It had been ripped open deliberately. There was blood-dark stains that had dried into the rocks, but not enough to suggest a fatal injury. My heart was pounding. This wasn't just a missing person. This was something far worse. I radioed up to the team, and as I gathered Leah's belongings, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were too late. Someone had been here before us. Carly and Kip were already ahead, moving toward a logging road that wasn't on any of the maps. Fresh tire tracks in the mud told us someone had driven up this hidden road. They knew the mountains well. They had planned this. The trail led us to an old, overgrown shed, hidden in the thick of the forest. Kip's reaction was immediate. He started barking, scratching at the door, his instincts kicking into overdrive. The shed was secured with a newer padlock, a strange detail that made my gut tighten. Someone had been maintaining it, someone who didn't want this place discovered. We forced open the door, and the stench hit us immediately. It wasn't death, not exactly, but it was something worse, something that felt wrong. Inside, a sleeping bag, empty food containers, and a makeshift table. But what caught my eye, what stopped me cold, was what hung from the ceiling: torn, blood-stained clothes, arranged like some kind of sick trophy. It was a message, and it wasn't for us. Carly found a small journal wedged behind a loose board in the wall. As she flipped through it, her hands trembled. Day 1. I don't know where I am. The man says he found me after I fell. He says he's helping me, but he locked the door when he left. Day 2. Tried to get out, but the door is bolted from the outside. Day 3. I think I hear scratching in the walls. Mice. No, something bigger. It was Leah's voice, her fear, her growing realization that she was trapped. The journal ended abruptly. But Kip wasn't done. He tugged us toward the back of the shed, where the wood didn't quite meet, revealing more fresh scratch marks on the inside. Desperate attempts to escape. Whoever had taken her was still out there. We followed Kip's trail to an old hunting blind well hidden, invisible to anyone flying overhead. Kip's barking grew frantic, and when we reached the blind, we heard her faint, barely audible, but unmistakably human. Leah. She was alive. Barely. Weak, dehydrated, and terrified, but alive. She told us everything. How the man had lured her off the trail, how he had pushed her into the ravine, and how he had kept her captive, feeding her, keeping her locked away, but never explaining why. No one would ever find me up here, he'd said. People disappear in these mountains, and no one looks hard enough. We found the man, Marcus Webb, a former Forest Service employee. He'd been using his knowledge of the mountains to trap hikers for years, keeping them in hidden sheds and hunting blinds. The investigation uncovered a horrifying truth. He wasn't the first. Leah wasn't the first. But this time, he made the mistake of taking someone people cared about. He made the mistake of underestimating a golden retriever. 3 months later, Carly got a package in the Mila-framed photograph of Eagle's Peak in autumn, accompanied by a note from Leah. "Thank you for not giving up," it said. I finally got my photograph. But the most beautiful thing was seeing Kip's face when he found me. Leah had made it out. And so did Kip, the dog who never stopped looking. And every time I look at that picture, I'm reminded of what we Dowhat were all here for. Sometimes, the only thing standing between the lost and the found is someone who cares enough to keep searching. And sometimes, that someone has 4 legs and a nose that can track hope itself through the darkest forest. What would you do if someone you loved went missing? Would you trust a dog's instincts, even when everyone else is ready to give up? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe in second chances, in the power of never giving up? And make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more incredible stories of rescue dogs and their amazing work. Until next time, keep looking and keep hoping.